First, the headlines. The adoption of the revamped penal code is to be examined shortly in Parliament, while controversy is getting fierce among political parties. In line with President Abdelaziz Bouteflika's instructions, Algeria has started repatriating its stranded nationals from war-torn Yemen. And after a 15-day holiday break, Algerian pupils from the 3 school cycles joined their school benches today, Sunday. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching Dzair News and welcome to this English News edition. First, in our top stories, the constitutional amendment file here in Algeria has been sharply debated by political parties, triggering controversy on the national political scene, with some parties blaming Parliament for what they called is a lack of overture and transparency on the issue. The General Secretary of the Workers' Party, Louisa Hannoun, has for her part called for the holding of a popular referendum on the projected constitutional revision instead of a parliamentary vote. Siam Sado reports.
Talking about constitutional amendment has become a nationwide topic. Some political parties accuse the parliament for lack of transparency. In this sense, the General Secretary of the Labour's Party, Louisa Hannoun, said Thursday in Annaba, Eastern Algiers, that after the National People's Assembly session, it is not authorized to adopt the constitutional amendment, but called for a popular referendum. People who decide on the constitutional amendment. Fraud is prevailing in the parliament. The only solution is the adoption of popular referendum. Moreover, the popular referendum is not the only request of the Labour Party. Other political parties, notably Nahda and the Front for Justice and Development leader Abdullah Jaballah, have also called the citizens to reject the new constitution while accusing the current parliament for not being legitimate. Meanwhile, some political experts said that tensions will rise more in the political scene in the next few days, especially when the coordinating movement for democratic transition are raising their tone regarding the constitutional amendments. Popular National Assembly Speaker Arbi Ould Khalifa said that the constitutional amendment is not high on the agenda of the spring session. Since then, fire will fuel in the political scene until decisions will surprise them.
The time to present the revamped penal code in the upper house of Parliament is approaching while the controversy is getting fierce. Many political parties are launching a campaign against the passing of the code to influence the members of the upper house of Parliament not to endorse it. More details in this report with Mohamed Baraswan.
The controversy and hot debate of the new penal code resurfaces with the approach of presentation time to the upper house of Parliament. There are many hardliners and doubters whether this code is going to be passed or not, as it is the case with the FLN party.
I don't think there would be any problem. This law is going to be passed as other acts before. This is just a farce. This code is here to protect the family and society, and those Muslim brothers who are making a fuss, I tell them Islam protects the woman. We are just reinforcing this in law, that's all.
Despite a recommendation and praise of the upper house of Parliament members for the code, the coalition of the Green of Algeria and the Justice and Development Party opposed it due to lack of quorum, and they tried to stall it and hinder its passing by influencing some members of the upper house of Parliament so as the government wouldn't adopt it.
Our position is against the penal code, which was passed by force in a legitimate way against the will of the people in the lower house of Parliament, because there is a lack of quorum, so we wouldn't repeat the same mistake here in the upper house. We are on a continuous contact with the members of the upper house of Parliament to stop this.
While the debate pro and against the code is getting hotter and hotter, other parts see that before passing an act, there must be sanitization and awareness-raising campaigns against violence. Yet the Parliament wants to test it on the ground and judge its effect later on.
A new session of the Inter-Malian dialogue is planned for the next few days in Algiers, led by Algeria as a mediator country, chaired by Foreign Affairs Minister Ramtan Lamamra. Members of Azawad rebels are to renegotiate some provisions of a peace agreement they refused to sign last March in Algiers, calling for additional amendments to the final document. Siam Sadu has the details.
A new round of the Inter-Malian dialogue is scheduled for the next few days in Algiers, led by Algeria as a mediator country, chaired by Foreign Affairs Minister Ramtan Lamamra, to negotiate peace agreement in Mali. The latter has fewer apprehensions towards the situation, affirming that the decision of Tuareg rebels to sign up the peace agreement shows more stability for the country. Moreover, Tuareg-led rebels from the North Mali said Thursday that they will meet with the Algerian mediators in Algiers to discuss the terms of preliminary peace deal they rejected last month. Furthermore, the proposal forged over 8 months of talks aimed to tackle decades of rebellion in northern Mali, where the terrorists are spreading in the region. Tuareg rebels said that Algeria's government initiated the week's talks, which were aimed at finding an acceptable version of the regional proposal. For his part, a Bamako-based diplomat said that Algiers were pressurizing on the rebel coalition to sign. The UN Special Envoy Monji Hamdi expressed optimism for the Mali mission earlier this week. Malian President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta called those who have not signed the peace and reconciliation in Algiers from March the 1st to go squarely for signature in order to establish a lasting peace in Mali.
In line with President Abdelaziz Bouteflika's instructions, Algeria has started repatriating its stranded nationals from war-torn Yemen as the Saudi-led military coalition continued its military offensive against Houthi rebels' targets in the Arabian Peninsula. Mustafa Azzouk.
Due to the worsening situation in Yemen, Algeria has evacuated 160 of its citizens on Saturday as the Saudi-led coalition continued its military offensive against Houthi rebel targets in the Arabian Peninsula. Foreign Minister Ramtan Lamamra stated that the head of state, Abdelaziz Bouteflika, called for the operation after monitoring the deteriorating situation in Yemen in recent days. In this regard, Algeria has stuck to its foreign policy of supporting peaceful dialogue in solving regional crises. Thus, it did not show any determination to provide manpower from its powerful armed forces for the coalition, carrying out airstrikes against Shiite Houthi rebels. Media sources added that 40 Tunisians, 15 Mauritanians, 8 Libyans, 3 Moroccans, and a Palestinian were also flown out of the capital Sana'a to Cairo on a plane provided by Algerian National Air Courier Air Algérie. Saudi Arabia aims to defeat the Houthi rebels who seized power in the capital Sana'a in February, as Riyadh feared they would take over the entire country and shift it into the orbit of Shiite Iran, Sunni Saudi Arabia's regional rival. Aden, Yemen's main southern city and a last foothold of supporters of absent President Abdhadi Rabbu, has been shaken by more than a week of fierce clashes between Shia rebels and government forces. According to official sources, at least 158 are confirmed dead and 1,282 were wounded during the clashes that have been raging for weeks now. China, Djibouti, Egypt and Sudan, along with 2 aid groups, were scheduled to carry out evacuations on Sunday, while requests from others, including Canada, Germany and Iraq, were being processed.
After a 15-day holiday break, Algerian pupils from the 3 school cycles joined their schools' benches today, Sunday. The main objective of the pupils now is to catch up on all the missed courses due to the recent 5-week damaging strike staged by teachers demanding socio-professional promotion at the call of the Knappest Education Union. And the Minister of Water Resources Hossein Nassi paid a working visit of inspection to the municipality of Borj Beji Mukhtar in Adrar province in southern Algeria to check on the works of progress of the local drinkable water pumping station, where he reassured the inhabitants that they will be provided with tap water starting from Ramadan's Eve. Usama Snoussi.
In his inspection visit to the southern province of Adrar, the Minister of Water Resources, Hussein Nasib, made strict instructions to the people in charge of the project meant to supply Temyoin municipality with potable water before the month of Ramadan.
I have visited and supervised a very big, unstructured project that cost the government more than 200 billion centimes. The project will be delivered and operational on Ramadan's Eve. As a start, we will give them between 12 and 16 hours on Ramadan's Eve. Then, when the water network is ready, we will reach 24 hours, which means in 2016 they will have potable water 24 hours.
The first responsible on water resources sector in the country checked the progress of works in the 3 pumping stations situated around 80 kilometers from the municipality of Borj Mukhtar, which will provide potable water for the people of Temyoin. In his visit, Mr. Nasib checked the internal dam project that will secure the region from the threat of floods.
We will set up, in coordination with the Ministry of Agriculture, wells devoted to breeders due to the fact that they cannot travel to neighboring municipalities, so we should provide them with an alternative source. Concerning drainage, the priority was given to transporting sewage water to farther places.
Astronomical numbers of money were allocated, lots of wells were dug and pumping stations were constructed, awaiting the economic revenue for the sake of improving people's lives in this remote area.
The Minister of Housing, Town Planning and the City, Abdelmajid Tebboune, has reassured the Adel Housing Programme subscribers that they will duly receive their new housing units during the first quarter of 2016, adding that they will get to know their new apartment sites with their relevant numbers by the end of the current year. Mr. Tebboune said during a working visit of inspection which led him to the housing compound of July the 5th in suburban Algiers that all subscribers are compelled to provide the necessary certificates before disbursing the second half of their installment payment for their new flats. And in relation to the plane crash of flight AH5017 in northern Mali last July, French aviation authorities published initial findings on their website, saying the McDonnell Douglas 83 jet ran into trouble as a result of the accumulation of frost on the pressure sensors situated on the nose cone of the plane's engines. Mustafa Azzo gathered the full story for us.
French investigators looking into the crash that killed all 116 people aboard an Air Algérie plane in Mali last July said on Saturday that the crew apparently failed to activate an anti-frost system, causing some sensors to malfunction. Flight AH5017 was en route from Burkina Faso's capital Ouagadougou to Algiers when it went down in northern Mali just half an hour after takeoff. The French Civil Aviation Authority's BAA, which published its initial findings on its website, said that the McDonnell Douglas 83 jet ran into trouble as a result of frost on the pressure sensors situated on the nose cone of the motors. According to aviation experts, if the system for protecting against frost on the motors is activated, the pressure sensors are reheated by warm air, and that an analysis of available data indicated that the crew apparently did not activate these systems. With the sensors transmitting erroneous information, the thrust of the motors was hampered and the speed of the plane slowed, causing it to drop and crash. Entire families died in the crash, with France bearing the brunt of the disaster, with 54 nationals killed. The French National Aviation is expected to publish its final report on the crash in December of the current year.
Elsewhere in Egypt, a bomb exploded this Sunday in a bridge near central Cairo and killed one person. Another bombing that came in the aftermath of a series of ill-fated suicide bombings in several parts of the country. Shakib Lawishi.
An explosion hit a bridge near an upscale neighborhood in central Cairo on Sunday, killing at least one person and wounded another. An Associated Press reporter saw a corpse laying in a truck on the bridge, which connects Cairo's sister city of Giza to its upscale Zamalek neighborhood. Dozens of people gathered at the scene, some yelling in outrage, others in fear. Police officer at the scene said one person was killed in the blast and one another was wounded. Attacks mainly targeting Egyptian security forces have spiked since the 2013 military overthrow of Islamist President Mohamed Morsi following massive protests against his divisive rule. Explosions sometimes hit civilian areas. Last week, a militant group known as Egypt Soldiers claimed responsibility for a bombing in front of Cairo University that wounded 8 people, including 4 police officers. Another bomb exploded Saturday, causing no casualties.
In troubled Yemen, Saudi-led airstrikes have continued unabated today, despite recommendations of a ceasefire from the United Nations Security Council and the International Red Cross to allow the safe evacuation of trapped foreigners from the country. Maher Mzahi reports.
Saudi-led airstrikes have continued unabated in Yemen as an Arab coalition of 10 states target various Houthi outposts, mainly in Sana'a. The United Nations report that more than 500 people have been killed in the last 2 weeks and more than 1,700 have been left wounded. The UN Security Council convened this week where Russia asked for regular breaks between airstrikes and that a ceasefire be imposed for foreign nations to rescue their citizens. The Red Cross also demanded an immediate 24-hour ceasefire be instituted and that all land and water avenues be opened in anticipation of what they call a humanitarian crisis. But Saudi Arabia and their allies have responded that aid will come when the population is in need. Algeria has evacuated 160 of its citizens and other North Africans on Sunday morning. The Yemeni crisis is now a week old and has thus far been successful in curbing Houthi militia advances upon Aden. The Shia rebels have already conquered the capital city of Sana'a and have forced President Abdurrabbu Hadi to flee the presidential palace. As the Iran-backed group continued their march southwards, Hadi called on the international community to react, and that is when Saudi-led coalition began their airstrikes.
Back to Algeria now, and with on focus the old district of the Kasbah in Upper Algiers, a national patrimony is one of the most antique cities in Algeria. Its ancestral dwellings and our streets recount many fascinating and amazing tales deeply anchored in the collective memory. But unfortunately, this precious national heritage is on the verge of decay due to the utter neglect from the relevant authorities. Shakib Lawishi.
The citadel of the Kasbah in the province of Algiers was and is still a vestige of the Algerian civilization, an open book that narrates endless and different stories which can be portrayed in its old doors, walls and buildings. In the past, during Muslim religious celebrations, the inhabitants of the Kasbah used to paint their houses in white. They applied paint from the outside and the inside. In every corner of this breathtaking city, there are countless beautiful stories which tell its secrets and fascinating moments. The city of the Kasbah was originally built by the Algerians, and not by the Turkish people who were living here. The city of the Kasbah still maintains its beauty and prestige, despite its old age, and it is still always inhabited by people who won't change their lifestyle, with which they became more than familiar. The pride of Algeria, the Kasbah, is a vestige that's got to be preserved and maintained no matter what, so these kinds of fine pieces of art are priceless.
And finally, to wrap it up in sports news, many Algerian footballers were in action in Europe's top leagues last night. Algerian strikers Islam Slimani and Karim Matmour scored goals in their respective championships, while young hopeful Said Ben Rahma recorded his first assist. Maher Mzahi keeps us up to date with all the latest action.
Several Algerian players graced the pitches of Europe last night in various championships. Islam Slimani scored his 10th league goal of the season, latching onto a Nani cross and poking the ball into the net. Slimani has now scored 12 goals in all competitions and has garnered attention from the European elite. German media claim the Champions League club Schalke are interested in his services and are preparing a €12 million bid in the summer. In France, 19-year-old winger Said Ben Rahma was handed the first start of the season with his club OGC Nice. Ben Rahma has struggled with injuries this season, but he impressed last night, completing a fantastic dribble and assisting striker Valentin Issarik. The Ain Temouchent native should be on Pierre Schuster's radar for the 2016 Olympic Games as our under-23s attempt to qualify. In the Sky Bet Championship, Adlan Guediora has continued his good form with leaders Watford. In a tightly contested match against Derby County, Dzair made an equalizing assist with a sumptuous pass to Victor Igalo late in the match. Dzair collected Man of the Match honors for his efforts and will likely be in Christian Gourcuff's plans for Algeria's next friendly matches.
I think we show character to come back with the draw, and I think it's a bit unfair with the red card, but we have to accept that, and we came back onto the game and we scored the second to finish with the draw.
In the second Bundesliga, Karim Matmour managed a goal and assist as his club Kaiserslautern defeated Heidenheim. It was only the Algerian international's second goal of the season, but he has managed to tally an impressive 8 assists. Matmour took his international retirement in 2011, but has previously mentioned that he is now ready to reintegrate the national team setup.
The end of our English news edition, brought to you live from the Dzair News channel. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.